Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84, and I thought, you know, it's about time that I did a quick roundup of the tropicals and subtropicals at the very beginning of autumn, just to see what's happening with them outside for people that are interested in those plants. I've done quite a few standalone videos on single plants, but I thought I'd cover the tropicals and citrus and see how they're currently doing. So we'll have to squeeze in to see some of these. So I'm going to start round the back here. Firstly, there's a couple of white sapote seedlings, ones that I grew from seed that I was sent from Spain. Next to them is one of my citrus that I've repotted to try and rejuvenate it. This one is the ornamental Amalfi lemon, and it is starting to put out new growth and flower, which is a good thing. Behind it there's a small pink guava that I grew from seed. Next to that is one of my name varieties of guava, and this actual one is Bangkok Apple, so this is a Thai guava. Behind those I've got my star fruit, that's my Carimbola, Variegated Carimbola, grafted plants, variety unknown. It's quite nicely sheltered behind the taller plants at the front, so this sensitive growth isn't affected quite so badly by cool winds. That I've got to watch it, because now we're in September, they do suffer problems. Next to it I've got two of my seed grown custard apples. These are actually cherimoyas, I should say. Flowered sporadically this summer. I haven't bothered to hand pollinate them this year, because they suffered some health problems and died back when they were repotted in the spring. So although they have been flowering on and off, I haven't made an effort to cross pollinate them, so we haven't got any embryo fruits this year like we had last year. Tucked away down here there is one of my two grafted, or allegedly grafted, white sapotes. This one, I'll have to look at the label to refresh my memory, is meant to be a Wilson, but I believe the grafted section died before I was sent the plant, so this is probably going to be a seedling white sapote, but it doesn't really matter, because it would still theoretically eventually flower and potentially fruit with edible fruits, and it's now putting on growth at the top part that had died back, so I'm hoping that's going to do quite well. Tucked away down there is a Suriname Cherry that I've had for some years. It was bought as a small seedling, unnamed. Tucked away behind this cherimoya is my Jambalan, or Jamun, that's Zygium cumini. Next to it in the video I've just released in the last couple of days is my canistel, or egg fruit plant. That's putting on new growth after it got killed back badly by sun scorch when I bought it out at the beginning of, I think it was the end of May or beginning of June, and it lost all its leaves, but it's grown back strongly now and does have flower buds on it. Next to those other plants here I've got an interloper, in that it's not a tropical or subtropical, but it's actually a Pakistan mulberry, and I believe it's the black one, but I've got it here because it was easy to maintain it and keep it well hydrated and not exposed to the sun, because I've had some problems with my other Pakistan mulberries, and I thought this would give it a bit more shelter. This won't go inside over winter, it'll stay here on the decked area and be given some shelter. Next to that is one of my three largest tamarillos. It's drooping a bit, could do with some water, but it's been doing fine. It's recovered well from last winter, but sadly, in common with my other tamarillos, zero sign of any flowering, which is very frustrating. My most recent citrus purchase here is my Miwa Kumquat. It's now flowering on its second flush, which is very satisfying, but at present the first batch of flowers didn't set any fruits. This one I can see a couple of embryo fruits, but they got to that size before dropping, so I'm still not sure if it's going to hold any fruits. In front of it is the clementine that I got from Connor. It's doing well. I've repotted that, looks perfectly okay. Next to that we've got a Sanguinelli blood orange, flowered very heavily. I've featured it in several videos, and at present it is holding a few fruits that are about 1 inch in diameter, so just over 2 centimeters, which is quite satisfactory. And a view from the other side, once again, that's my canistel or egg fruit plant. That's Puteria campecchiana, and the variety is Bruce, and that's recovering very nicely. Down here on the floor we have another one of my Guavas, which, if I recall, is one that I've grown from seed myself, I believe. It's probably therefore going to be a pink one if it ever gets to flowering and fruiting size, but it's doing nicely. Down here I've got 2 strawberry Guavas, 2 of my younger Psidium cattleyanums. One's I can't remember, I've got one from there. One came from Jurassic Plants, and the other one was a seed grown one that I bought some time ago on eBay, which came from a Spanish seller. So should be a red strawberry guava, I'm not 100% sure. And next to that is a pomelo. So let me wander around the other side of the from the other side of the table so I can get to the other plants. Now we've got here, just going to move these branches a little bit. Here's my second white sapote. I've just watered it because it's actually, although I thought the soil was damp, it's looking a bit droopy, so I hope that's not been over watered and causing a root problem. On the whole, the leaves okay, but the new growth's looking very droopy, which is normally lack of water or cold wind. This is a grafted variety McDill, but I think it's okay, but I have given it a water and hope that I'm not overdone it with the watering. Behind the McDill I've got my rose apple. That's Zygium jambos. It's grown a little bit this year, again defoliated at the beginning of the year, but it seems to have come back quite well and has put a fair bit of new growth out on it. It's looking reasonably healthy. That got some got dieback from too little water at the beginning of the year. Next to it, I'm pleased to say that my ice cream bean, this is Inga Fei, I think. It's listed as a do list, but all the experts on Inga say it's not an do list, it's a Fei. Did lose all its leaves at the beginning of summer again from scorch when I bought it outside, but plenty of new growth coming on it, so hopefully that's going to be okay. Next to that I've got my Babaco or Babaco, depending on how you prefer to pronounce it, and interestingly it's got a flower on that stem, and it's early days yet, but it looks like too small of fruit have set this year. Now it hasn't fruited for 2 years, so I'm hoping that's going to hold, obviously. Now next to that I've got the first of my cherry guavas. This is a yellow cherry guava. This is a sort of a medium-sized plant. It has produced 1 fruit for me before, but as you can see it's now got a substantial number of fruits on it, so I think we're going to get a few decent fruits this year. Behind that I've got my very sad looking, unfortunately, my very sad looking now what nut is it? My mind's gone blank. I should remember what it is. Macadamia. It's suffered some issues this year. I fear that I've overwatered it and caused a root problem. I repotted it at the beginning of spring into a nice free draining soil, but you can still overwater them even when you do that, because they don't particularly like to have wet roots. This has been dug up by the squirrels, this soil again, so I think I've messed up my macadamia, but I'm hoping that if the main stem is okay that it will shoot out again. So let's wander out to the front again, if I can sneak out without damaging any plants. It's not easy when they're so packed so close together. So this is my largest, my oldest guava, not the largest one. This is a tropical guava, Basidium gojava, and I'm quite pleased with how this one's looking because amazingly it's got 2 flower buds on it. Now that's the first time this has ever had flower buds in the whole time I've had this plant, which died back the first year I had it in winter. I overwatered it and had a serious dieback problem, which has reasonably recovered from, although it's not in perfect health, but I'm still excited to see flower buds on it. And behind it is my tallest or largest tropical guava, which I featured reasonably recently. A few weeks ago it actually had some flowers on it for the first time ever on that one as well. Nothing set fruit, unfortunately. I think it's just a little bit early for it age-wise. Next to it is another yellow cherry guava that's separate to the one that I showed from the other side. This is my largest cherry guava, and you can see, if I move the camera closer, that is absolutely loaded in fruits. Now looking at some of my other tropicals tucked away behind here we've got a Grumichama. It's looking quite good. It's tucked away behind the cherry guavas, putting out the second flush of growth it's had this year. It had one back in June, no, earlier May, which had a few flowers on it, and I didn't think it was going to flush out again, but I'm really pleased to see it has now. So there's a possibility some flowers may materialise on it because it seems to flower on the new growth flushes. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks if any flower buds appear. Tucked away down here I've got my quite sad looking Jabuticaba, my Jabbo. It had a bad start to the year, defoliated badly and died back, but there are some new shoots out now, so I think that's going to be okay. And next to it is a cherry of the Rio Grande, which is also put on new growth, so again that's looking pretty promising. Behind these plants here is my largest Suriname Cherry. Flowered and fruited last year but hasn't this year, but I see it's putting out loads of new growth on it again, so maybe we'll see some autumn flower buds. And the fruits develop very quickly actually. It only takes them about a month from flower to fruit to mature fruit, so if it produces any flower buds we should still see fruits on it. In front of that I've got another one of my guavas. This one came from another company over here, but it isn't a named variety and not easy to see as they're so tucked away, but I've got another guava down below it, and the one that's down below it is White Supreme. That's right next to the other one, so a fair old mix here. Now we've got another one of my cherry guavas here. This one is a red one. This is the one I've had longest and has fruited for me several times, although the fruits have so far been very small, but it has got fruits on it again this year, so I'm hoping they'll get a little bit bigger than last year. Down in front of that on the floor we've got my variegated Eureka lemon. Not doing very well, it's been suffering dieback, but it looks like it's starting to push out some flower buds, which might mean that the stems are regenerating. And in front of that I've got my lily pilly. That's another one of the Syzygium smithii, and it has still got some flowers on it. It's had a few flowers this summer, but unfortunately none have set whatsoever, so I see no reason to think that these will set either. I think actually it's been a bit of a problem with the roots, because I think I overwatered it at one stage and that's caused an issue. But the plant itself is now putting out putting out lots of new growth now, so I think that the roots have recovered from whatever issues I caused them. It's always a battle here with the root systems on these tropicals. Now next to that, tucked away behind here, we have my only surviving grafted custard apple. This is Atamoya Geffen. Had some serious health issues with it at the beginning of the year. It was very, very poorly, but it's now having had a repot and some nice oxygenated soil, it's put out a fair amount of new leaves. I'm quite pleased with how it's looking now. So on the whole, most of the what I call the proper tropicals on that side are doing quite nicely now. Down here we've got one of my oranges. This one's a Cara. It's flowered recently. It seems to be doing quite well, and it's got a couple of fruits on it. They're not as shiny as I like them to be, so it's possible they'll drop, but it's looking healthy and it's putting out more new growth, so I think we're okay there. And tucked away behind that is my myrtle-leaved orange, which has got one orange fruit on it and a few green ones. Has flowered recently, so I wouldn't be surprised. Sorry, it's flowered recently, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a few more fruits on it. And moving round to the other side, I'm not going to go through all the citrus, there's too many of them to run over them. Just a basic look to see that they're mostly okay. Some of them are a little bit chlorotic, a little bit yellowy on the leaves, which is always an issue. You can see my Satsuma at the back's got quite good fruits on it, well over an inch in size, and most of these other ones are various oranges. Obviously there's a lemon down there, unknown variety, but probably a Four Seasons. But most of my orange plants are looking relatively healthy. Some of them have got darker leaves than others. Probably mostly need repotting, but I think I'll do them in the spring and not put too much strain on them over the winter. I don't really like to repot them this time of the year. This little one down here is a lime, somewhere on it. I think it's got a fruit at the back. It flowers occasionally and puts out fruit. So yeah, there we are. So that's got a lime on it. So I've got a few plants here with smallish fruits on. And this lemon, I'm just waiting for it to ripen up. And there's another one, smaller one behind, and it's got another lemon here as well. So still got decent fruits on it, and it's got smaller ones on the way as well. So a nice continuation of fruits really. Still got one very small grapefruit holding on the plant. That variety is Rio Red, and this one here is my Star Ruby grapefruit, which I've recently repotted because it had root issues. That's not looking too bad. Other subtropicals, sort of. This is my hardy Tamarillo here, tucked away behind here. That's Cyphermandra Carimbifolia. So it shouldn't really be classified here as it is meant to be hardy. But it's still flowering, but unfortunately has never set any fruits. Young Tamarillo here. Here are my two other larger Tamarillos that were cut back, that I've been featuring especially in Tamarillo videos. Nice height on this one here. It's now getting up to 8 feet tall again. But once again, despite having numerous side branches, neither of these Tamarillos are producing flowers for me, which is very frustrating, but that's the way of the world sometimes. Finally, one of my, what is meant to be a Pomelo, been holding fruits on it for at least a year now, and they're not really getting any bigger. Plant's been, it's another one that suffered dieback, but from the new flowers coming on it, I would say it's starting to recover quite well. So those are all the ones on the decked area, but I've still got a couple to show that I've got in my summer house for recovery. This citrus has just been repotted recently. This is the red lime. Seems to be reacting very well to the repotting. Still got lots of flowers on it. It didn't lose them at all. I've got assorted avocado seedlings in here doing quite well. Some more cherimoyas that I originally grew from seed that I've got growing as a miniature forest, and I've repotted those recently. There's my pineapple that's doing well after its repot, looks perfectly healthy. My sapodilla, that's Manilcara Sapote, it's made a lot of new growth, and also, if you can see there, lots of flower buds coming on it, so we should see some flowers on that soon. Just moving around the back, got a few more avocados there, Suriname Cherry seedlings, plus my citrus here, which I think is a, what is this one? This is a lemon quat, is it called? Let's see what that says. That's a lemon quat, allegedly, that one. And then I've got my miniature greenhouse here for nursing sick plants. And I've got in there, you can probably just about see through there, I've got my Star Apple, which wasn't very happy at all outside, so I put it in there and that seems to be helping no end. I've got a black Suriname Cherry seedling in there. I've got a mango seedling. Next to it there's a longan plant which I've had for some years, which was originally grafted, but I think the grafted section's died, but it's grown out well from the rootstocks, so it doesn't really matter. And just behind that is my very sick wax apple, or wax jambu. See if I can get around this side, which has a couple of small shoots on it. You might just be able to, let's see if I can open up the zip so you can see better. I don't know if I can do it one-handed or not. Let's just have a look, so you can have a look. There we are. You can just about see that. That's my rose apple. Has got some signs of life on it. A star apple, no, star fruit seedling from a fruit I've bought. I put them in here to keep them warm, and that's doing okay. And here is another longan that appeared to have died and is now growing back from the rootstock. So little bits and pieces happening in here. I'm particularly pleased about the state of the Sapote. It seems to be doing quite well. So haven't been, as I said, I don't normally do updates on the tropicals, but I thought that would interest people. Let's have a wander back up here, give you an overview. Probably about 30 citrus in total, but I said there's too many to do in this video, but plenty of growth on most of them. Most of the other tropicals have had a couple of bad spells in summer because of the freaky summer weather we've had at times, extremely hot conditions which caused a lot of leaf scorch, and obviously the risk of the tropicals drying out in the pots too much. You've had to be careful with the watering, but then you end up over watering one. So hopefully that would have been interest to people who like the tropicals and subtropicals and the citrus, because I haven't done a proper roundup on all of them for ages. I just tend to feature them as single plants. So thank you very much if you happen to have watched the video, I much appreciate it. Obviously if anything interest happens in terms of flowers appearing on any of these, or fruit sets, or any other interesting developments, I'll make sure to do short video updates for you. Thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up. Please remember to share the video if you think it might be useful to anybody. Please subscribe to my channel, and remember to click on the bell if you do want to know when new videos come out and get updates on some of these plants. I'll catch up with you all soon. Brett out for now.